works. What more?
About you talk about what you call the fairies of the universe, you know, putting the elements together that make things happen here. And I note that a great deal of what people are wanting to understand is why the negative has befallen someone. I, for many years, was looking for how to get the good in my control. And I started with the circus as a kid, and the slogan is, "The show must go on." And so as 20 years of the entertainment industry, only a short of it, time in the circus field, but I used to brag that I've never missed a show. You know, I've never been so tired or nothing's happened. I've never been sick enough. I've never changed my mind. I mean, nothing has ever happened to make me not make a show. And so then when I left that field and went into the next field that I was in for the last few years, and one time I was in line waiting to board a plane in Fresno, California to do a seminar in San Diego. And the fellow taking the boarding passes was talking to the passenger in front of me until the plane was closing the doors. And I said, "My plane's leaving." And he said, "I know." I said, "Well, I'm supposed to be on it." He said, "Why didn't you say something?" I said, "Well, I was waiting for you." And he said, "Well, this is my girlfriend." I said, "Well, you have to stop the plane." He said, "No, I can't stop." I said, "I know you can." He said, "Well, I can't." So I got in my car, and I knew the plane landed in Burbank, California, which is maybe 200 miles away. 100, I don't remember. But, and I don't know the speed. I had a little Cadillac Seville, and in other words, the speedometer only goes so far, but I put it on the floor. And I just left it on the floor until I hit Burbank, California, assuming that everybody would get out of the way and no policeman would see me, or if they did, they couldn't catch me. And when I got to Burbank, I went right into the airport at just full speed, and I left the car right on the side of the road, not in a regular parking area. I jumped out of the car, I ran through the gates, I ran up onto my plane, and I told the stewardess, I said, "You left me in Fresno." And then, so of course, I made the plane onto San Diego. My point is, and then as the years went by, after I looked back at that, I thought that was impossible. It's like it was a dream that didn't really happen. I couldn't have made that plane, you know, get there as fast as the plane did with my car. I mean, I know there's some stall time before they left at that end. But is that not a case of, and could you explain how it works, how everything comes together to make the seemingly impossible occur?
What you are describing here is the perfect example of the power of high wanting. In other words, your very powerful decision coupled with your belief or expectation that you never miss a show. In other words, your wanting and that expectation were all that were necessary. Nothing else makes any difference. In other words, avenues open, waters part, everything falls into place when what you are wanting and what you are expecting are the same. You see, what happens in your society, you live in what we call a hopeful world. It is a word that you use so often. When we use it, it is always one that we take back as soon as it comes out. It is a misused word, a word that you would be well to alter or bridge. For hope means wanting and doubting. There is a little doubting in that wanting, and a little doubting is just enough to keep the wanting from ever being, you see. And so what you are wanting to do is to change the hoping to knowing, so that you are wanting and expecting. That's what equals having, or, you see. And so that is where you were upon that. You knew what you wanted, and you knew it would be. You did not say, "I hope I'll be there on time." You did not say, "I hope I will make this meeting. I hope I don't miss it. I hope I don't disappoint all of these people that have gathered." You had knowledge within you that carried you through that scenario. And that is what we are wanting you to understand. When you understand that there is nothing outside of you that is making the difference, that is all inside of you, and then you are very clever about paying attention to the way that you feel, and so that you are changing all of these little, "I hope I don't get cancer," to "I know I will not." "I hope I will be prosperous," to "I know the dollars are flowing." "I hope I will have a good relationship," to "I know good relationship is my way of life." Then It doesn't matter how life is touching you, you are having what you are wanting from it, because this basic knowing of the laws and of your attraction power are within you. Of course, there will always be much variety because you are continuing to think about what you are wanting. You are continuing to be exposed to new ideas, new stimulations of desire. But once you begin to trust the process, you see, that is the quantum leap that we've been talking about all of these months. Rather than, when you believe in an action world, then you'd better be prepared. You'd better have the qualifications when you believe in action making everything happen. But when you are understanding that this is not the action world that you think it is, that it is a world of attraction, and that the way you think and believe or expect is what equals what you get, then you don't have to be prepared for anything. You don't have to have the physical qualifications or characteristics for anything, because the universe will deliver the perfect circumstances and events. You did not even know you had that sort of driving skill. You did not know that the traffic would open up for you in that way.
I expected it would, though.
What you knew was you were going to be there.
Yeah.
And so if you can throw a sort of blanket over everything in your experience by saying, everything always turns out right for me, and then looking for the evidence in your experience that says that it does. But what we see from most of you is you are looking for evidence that proves that it doesn't. We hear you say things like, there isn't enough money, or I can't afford that, or there isn't enough time, or I don't have enough energy. And so then what happens is you attract the proof or the evidence of that, you see.
10 seconds of hesitation if I'd have doubted, and or I'd have told, if I had been foolish enough to tell anybody there that I'm going to drive it and catch the plane, just what they would have cast enough doubt that I wouldn't have made it, probably.
It depends upon how strong your intent is and how well formulated your beliefs are. But this is what your life experience is. You are upon the process of convincing yourself that you can be or do or have whatever it is that you are wanting.
Now that was really serious. But a few years earlier than that, I was traveling in Canada, and I heard that I was going to be on the program with me would be the Prime Minister of Canada, Mr. Diefenbaker it was in those days. And I just told my friends jokingly, good, I'm going to have my picture taken with the Prime Minister, and I'll put it in my publicity book. And they all said, you won't be able to get near that man. That's like the President of the United States. And I said, again, kind of jokingly, oh no, I'll have my picture taken with him. But then it ceased becoming that much of a joke, and no matter what anyone would say to me for the next 2 or 3 weeks, I would just, like if I was checking into a hotel and they said, do you want a king-size bed? I said, I'm going to have my picture taken with the Prime Minister. And so waitress would say, what would you like for breakfast? I said, I'm going to have my picture taken with the Prime Minister. No matter what anyone said to me, I always responded, I'm going to have my picture taken with the Prime Minister. When I got to Rosetown, Saskatchewan, I went into a photographer and I said, he said, what would you like? I said, I'm going to have my picture taken with the Prime Minister. And he said, oh. I said, yeah. I said, he's going to be, and I said, I was down there earlier, and I said, the stage is going to be like this, and I said, I want you at this corner of it. And when I said, the dignitaries, the ministers of parliament, all will be seated along the back of the scenery, and as I walk to the microphone, instead of going like I should go directly, I'm going to go in front of the Prime Minister, and I'm going to trip over my feet, and as I fall onto him, he's going to reach up to try to catch me, to keep me from landing on him, and I'm going to put my hand out, and I'm going to be shaking his hand instead, and I want you at that corner of the stage and get the picture. And so he said, I'll do that if you'll pay me now. So I paid him up front, and we went down that evening, and their FBI kind of thing had cleared out everyone, and they'd checked for bombs under everything. They'd even taken our sound systems apart, checking for explosives in them. And everyone was cleared out of this huge auditorium that had about 14,000 seats in it. There were only 2 people in the whole place inside. There was me and a lady about 80 years of age, and she was stayed right under the stage with a microphone, looking up at the microphone. We were in folding wooden chairs, and I sat right next to her in this huge arena. And neither of us said a word for a while, and she finally said, hello. And I said, hello, I'm going to have my picture taken with the Prime Minister. And she said, what did you say? I said, I'm going to have my picture taken with the Prime Minister. She said, you're serious? I said, yeah, I'm going to have my picture taken with the Prime Minister. She said, you really want that, don't you? And I said, yeah, I'm going to have my picture taken with the Prime Minister. And she said,
would you repeat that?
She said, that's interesting. She said, my son's a Minister of Parliament of this province, and he'll be here in about a half an hour, and he's a very close friend of John's, and if you like, I can arrange for you to have your picture taken with the Prime Minister. So we had poses and all normal stuff instead of me falling. Now, there's a case that once it got underway, I really expected it to happen, but it started as a joke. It wasn't anything of major importance to me. So I wanted to ask the question in both of these cases of things that seem kind of strange occurring. How do you, from the non-physical, see all those pieces falling together so that this lady would be seated next to me out of all the possibilities in that arena?
The details always come into place to provide you what you are wanting, and they are always in perfect balance with the set of intentions and beliefs that you hold. In other words, you are wanting us to give you a very detailed description of
how do you see it from your perspective?
From our perspective, we see a man who very much wants something and believes it so much that he has made arrangements to have it. In other words, you wanted it enough that you risk being shot by the Secret Service or whoever they are as you fall into the lap of the dignitary. In other words, your wanting was in place and your expectation was complete about it. There was no resistance that was taking place within you about it. And under those conditions, the fairies of the universe are not as we make them sound. We do that for fun. It is by law of attraction that all things come to you. And so through the crack of least resistance, the events and circumstances unfold to bring you what you want. So much so that that woman received inspiration or intuition. She was inspired to go there that day when it probably is something that she usually would not even do. And not only did she decide to go, she decided to go early in order to accommodate your meeting. Many of you, in retrospect, can look back and trace the events of the way things have happened. And what we will say to you is something that you don't recognize, is that there are usually 30 or 40 alternative routes, sometimes many more, that would bring you about what you're wanting also. In other words, when you want something and expect it, it cannot not be. It defies law. The only thing that can make it not be is your conflict about it. You're wanting but doubting. You're wanting but not believing. That is the only thing that could keep something from not happening to you, you see. And so that is the reason we say, spend less of your time arranging the photographer, spend less of your time trying to bang things into position the hard way, and spend more of your time talking to yourself to discover how you really feel about things. And when you find that you don't feel the way you really want to feel about something, then work upon that. And that is what we mean when we say to you, you lie to yourselves. And we do not mean that in an unkind way. You are so used to wanting to present a face of rightness, and that you spend much of your life in a place of justifying. You spend much of your time either trying to justify why you want something. We hear you. As you say, I would really like that, and then the next thought is, but it is outrageously expensive, and then the old feelings of unworthiness come forth, and then you spend time trying to justify it. Well, when you're justifying, you're looking at it from a position of lack. And when you do your creating from a position of lack, it's always longer and harder, so much so that most of you get discouraged and give up on it before it gets to you. Where if you could just say, I want it because I want it, and that is enough reason, and really mean that, then you'd be in that place where everything that you are wanting comes to you very easy and effortlessly. We're not wanting to sound like we're beating up on you because you're taking too long at getting what you're wanting. That is far from our message that we're wanting to offer. But we do respond to your frustration at not getting what you're wanting. We do respond to your giving of blame, especially when you give it to yourself. I'm just not getting this right, or I'm just not smart enough, or I'm just not at the right place at the right time. And what we are wanting you to understand is that there is not a wrong place to be, or a wrong time. There is just a wrong combination of thoughts within you. And your guidance system will help you ferret those out. Sometimes things don't come to you in exactly the timing that you think that they should, because something that is infinitely more satisfying, that is going to satisfy more of your overall intentions, is in the offing. In other words, oftentimes you do not understand the combination of intentions you hold, because you've been saying words that don't harmonize with the real intentions that are within you so long. You've been trying to live your life as it is viewed through the eyes of others so long that you have forgotten how you really feel or what you really want, you see. And that is the reason that we have begun putting great emphasis upon the process that we are calling Book of Positive Aspects.